Okay. Hey, it's the 11th of August. I'm Rudy Maxa, and I'm here with Tommy Danielson, my partner. It's 11th of August, 2022, and I tell you that only because, as I say each time, our conversations are posted on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you're looking at this later than today, then you'll know the information is, as the best of our ability, correct as of today. It could change at any time because that's the travel industry, because that's what we talk about is travel. Tommy Danielson is an expert on frequent flyer miles, hotel points, rental car stuff, and corporate doings in travel. I'm a journalist who's written a lot about destinations and travel and done a bunch of PBS shows about different destinations. And we co-own a small group, upscale European tour company called Maxa Tours. You can find out details at maxatours.com. And that's probably the last commercial message you'll hear during this talk. So today is Thursday, not yet week's end. What do we got for news? You want to go first, Tommy?
I can. Let me put it up on the screen here. So there's it's an interesting travel day today for sure. And we'll start with, why don't you start with the Royal Caribbean celebrity has dropped the vaccination requirements on select sailings.
Cruises and Norwegian and other cruise lines are really loosening up on their COVID requirements. See,
right.
Some of them are September 3rd, some September 5th, saying you don't have to prove that you've had COVID tests unless local laws require it. I think the bottom line, because each one has slightly different rules, Tommy, I think that the best thing we can say to consumers watching this or travelers watching this is to check with your cruise line's website because they're changing them now. I noticed Holland America has supposedly changed it, but I just went to their website a few minutes ago and they're still saying, oh, you need to have a COVID test to get on board. So just keep checking your cruise line's website and make sure you have abided by all their rules regarding COVID requirements or lack of requirements before you go sailing. Bottom line.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's interesting. You know, we saw the first round of stuff we saw the first round of stuff back in, the biggest news was the Princess Diamond, I think it was the ship that had the big outbreak in the beginning of COVID when it's just in the spring of 2020. And now I think we see normalcy coming back.
I think we do too. Although, I did say, while we're on the topic of COVID, there's still 400 Americans a day dying of COVID, which startled me a bit. I thought we might be down to 100 or 200, but now we're 220,000 dead Americans that are attributable to, probably a lot more, but I mean that we know of deaths attributed to COVID. So this year, since the start of 2022, yes. So it's 4,000 a day. 400 a day, which isn't a large number given our population, but it's still significant. Anyway, yeah,
I know. I mean, I don't want to talk a lot about COVID. We've talked about COVID forever, but I think that at the end of the day, what we've seen here locally, I have some family members who are visiting hospitals at a regular basis right now because of some illness, and the hospitals are filled with COVID patients. They're not, many of them are dying, but they are having seriously problems breathing and things like that, and they are. Over 80% of the beds in Placer County, where I live in Northern California, are filled with COVID patients. So let's move on from that though, and it's just better to take precaution is what I'm looking at. So let's look at Disney. Disney is reporting some great numbers and good things happening with their company lately. Not to talk about, it's obviously not related, but Disney Plus is now the #1 streaming platform in the Americas, and also they're seeing the parks are seeing, all the parks are open. Is that what you reported?
Yeah, all their parks are open around the world, and the numbers are almost equivalent to what their numbers were, or at least the last 3 quarters, because they're on a fiscal year. The last 3 quarters of their fiscal year, the numbers of visitors to their parks was almost the same, but their revenue was more than in a comparable time in 2019 pre-COVID, which is
right. What the numbers are saying at there's record revenue in the last 3 quarters, and also in the last quarter, extreme record revenues for sure, and also profits. I mean, we're looking at substantial numbers, big numbers for the parks, and it's good to see that they're doing well and that they're expanding and taking control, and also in the streaming market, making a lot of new content. I think that personally, the content that they have is a little narrow, I think it would be a little bit better. And also, of course, it's worth noting that even if they're bigger than Netflix, their revenue per customer is much lower.
Yeah, so, but Netflix and numbers is a big deal. Also, the only place where they report softness is in international visitors and business for their cruise line. For their ship.
Yeah, no, their cruise line. I mean, they're launching new ships and they're expanding, and the experiences aboard the ships are. I've never been on. Have you been on a Disney cruise?
I haven't, no, but everybody who goes on says it's great.
Yeah, Melinda has my wife has always wanted to go. We haven't gone yet, but I hope to try one day. It's so really very, very expensive compared to competitors. It goes at a premium.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well.
Yeah, like compared to like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, and those type of celebrity and things like that, I would say that it's probably almost a double the premium.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, let's talk about Domino's Pizza in the world in the interesting parts of expanding internationally. Domino's has failed in Italy. What a shock.
Italy says no. You know, they first opened in Milan, a store in Milan in 2015, and their goal was by 2030 to have 800 stores in Italy. They were going to take Italy by storm. And for a while, they had a little edge because they delivered. And most of the pizza places in Italy never delivered. You know, you went there and had it. But with COVID, they started delivering, and that started cutting into Domino's. So they're exiting. They only have they wanted 800 stores by 2030. They opened 29, and all 29, the last of the 29, just closed. So arrivederci to Domino's Pizza in Italy.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's like I don't even know what I don't even know what to say, because you can buy a one-person pizza in depending on where you are in Italy between €4 and €9. If it's fancy pants pizza, even in Sirmione, which is like a tourist area where you and I have been, the place we've been to at Garda a few times. Even in the tourist area, a margarita is like $6. So compared to the prices, I mean, the Domino's doesn't have price. They obviously doesn't. I mean, it's Italy, for crying out loud. It's like, I wonder how long it's going to be until Starbucks does the same thing. How do you feel about that? Because it's not that long ago since they opened up in Italy either.
I know they opened in Paris. I know they haven't done as well as they hoped either. It's sort of like taking Coles to Newcastle, taking coffee and pizza to Italy.
Right, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's in Naples, in that area, like in southern middle Italy. I remember I was at the train station. We took a cruise like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember what it was, a few years ago, right before we started Maxa Tours. We took a cruise, and we were in Naples, and we got to the train station. And they had a breakfast, which was a cornetto, which is a Italian croissant, if you will, and a coffee, which is a espresso. And it was €1.49 for that, and a coffee itself. That was the menu, like the deal of the day. Coffee itself was 79 cents for an espresso at the train station in Naples. So it's obviously not that like that everywhere, but you can for around €1, and Starbucks comes in with their double espresso for $3. I mean, that's it's kooky talk.
Okay.
So then moving into United, we know that they had Archer Aviation is one of those, it's a startup with an electric type plane for short haul that was launched a couple of years ago. And these United actually, they decided to put money on the table for these eVTOL. So it's a takeoff, virtual takeoff and landing type of helicopter plane, if you will. It looks kind of like that. If you guys can see the picture there.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be using them between Beverly Hills and LAX, like a 5-minute flight or something like that, and also between Newark and the city. I think they're also going to try and use them also.
And United gave them $10 million to secure rights to buy 100 of them.
No kidding, and that's putting your money where your mouth is. It's all those inflated ticket prices, giving the opportunity to do that. I think it's cool, and also it's funny that using these airplanes that are electric, all that traffic you have from Beverly Hills to the airport, or from Hollywood, it says here in the press release, but nobody stays there. But in that area, in the vicinities there, all that traffic and all the emissions, this lowers the emissions by 47% per passenger on a trip between Hollywood and Los Angeles airport, which I think is great. And we know that they're going to go into traffic in 2024.
That's great. It also lowers the aggravation rate by about 90%.
No kidding. How much would you pay to get from WeHo to the airport on a plane instead of sitting in traffic for?
From Pacific Palisades, in an Uber, I pay $70. So I'd pay $100 to avoid the long drive, the traffic, and of course the nuts.
My guess is that it'll be at about $149 to $150 per person per way is what I'm guessing it'll be as. And I think this is great. I think this is the future. I think that it's really, really cool. And it goes 150 miles an hour. So it's not, and it charges very quickly as well. So get them charged up. And also with what we're seeing in California, that many of the times during the day, we are producing enough energy in the middle of the day with solar panel and wind and all that's renewables here in California. So it gets better. It's on an upward curve. So by the time this is up in the air, I highly doubt it's 2024. Let's say 2026, California will be close to zero emissions. So the reductions will be even better.
Okay. I'm sorry it's so far away, but there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
cool looking thing. And I think that's going to be interesting to see.
Yep.
And you had a thing about passports. What's the story here?
The State Department is running a test. You can renew your passport online right now. Let's put it this way. The first 25,000 people who do it can renew their passport online during the month of August. Now, I have no idea. This is just news today. I don't know if already 25,000 people have filled the queues or not. Now, I will tell you, you're not going to get your passport any sooner. It's just a lot easier than filling out a form and mailing it and so sending in your old passport. This is all done online. If it works, eventually we all can do it. But right now, if you need to renew your passport and want to do it online, just hop right on there. Just type in passport office, renew online, and see if it works. They're saying that now the current wait time for passports through the regular process and also through this process, by the way, is 8 to 11 weeks for a routine renewal of your passport. For expedited service, it cuts it down to 5 to 8 weeks. So moral there is if you go out of the country in the near future, you're not going to get a turnaround in 5 days, but via FedEx or something. 5 to 8.
Your passport, has it expired, or how close are you?
Mine is way into distance because I lost my passport, so I just got a new one a couple months ago.
There you go. Actually, you found it, didn't you?
Well, I found it, but I had already applied for the new one. Yeah. So yes. So I have a used.
All right.
But yeah,
so that's interesting. If it's still available, still kind of slow though. I mean, I would say that this is something that they charge a significant fee for. There should be hiring and ramping it up so people can get out there. This is a long wait time for a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Charging more for it? I thought it was the same price for the online.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's significant. How much did you pay when you renewed your passport? Hundreds of dollars, right?
Saying generally the passport. Well, I had to get a hurry up passport. I had to pay like a couple $100s and get it at the passport office here in Minneapolis. But that was, 2-day turnaround, and that was an emergency thing, which they don't like to do. But yeah, passports are expensive these days, and this signing up online is not going to save you any money. It just might give you a few days earlier,
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is I think that it would be a good thing if they started ramping up this stuff so it can happen a little bit faster than months.
No question, but it is an improvement. Remember after COVID, it was like months and months to get a passport. So 8 to 11 weeks is not great, but it's not impressing anybody either. Okay, choice in Radisson. What does this mean? I don't understand what this all means.
Yeah, so we reported back in mid-June that Choice Hotels Americas has purchased Radisson Americas, which used to be the Carlson company up in Minneapolis, has run that company for many, many, many years. But the history, I mean, I don't want to go through. It's a long story about how these companies were organized. But, it was two companies. There was a European one. It's called Residor Hotels. And then you had the Carlson company in Minneapolis or Minnesota, Eden Prairie or whatever, that merged together back a few years back. And they've had the same loyalty program for the first year. Then Yin Yang, which is owned by the Chinese government, purchased the whole group. Like back in let's see if it says in the article. I think it's like in 2016, 2017, which, there were significant restrictions here in the US for how you handle the data. And also because it was a Chinese company, the implications was that you could not have members, international members. I don't know what the law and all that is, but they have to split the program up. So you had the Americas program, which had Radisson Hotels or Radisson Rewards Americas and Radisson Hotels Americas. And then you had the European program, which, was or not European, but everywhere else in the world outside of the Americas. So you needed to have two accounts. You could transfer miles between the two, but I consider myself pretty decently tech savvy, but it was quite an interesting task to get two accounts and get them linked with each other. That took me some time because I don't stay at the hotels here in the Americas.
So you're happy with this merger? Good thing.
No, I think that I don't know. So the deal closed today. That's the news. The deal closed today. Choice Hotels now owns Radisson Hotels Americas and Radisson Rewards Americas. There is no news on how they're going to do what they're going to do with the loyalty program. As you know, Choice Hotels has, in the world where Choice Hotels are, there are a lot of motels and mediocre hotels in that chain, right? It's not anything aspirational at all about Choice. While Radisson has very many aspirational hotels outside of the US. I mean, you got a really nice hotel on Champs-Élysées, a 5-star Radisson Blu. Radisson Blu is kind of their upscale brand, but here in the US, they align kind of better because you have the Country Inn and Suites, which is their by Route 80's highway brand, where you pull off and you go in and it smells and that kind of stuff, right? So it aligns kind of better here. But I'm really happy for our friends there that something is happening, because it wasn't sustainable to be marketing. You want to buy a Radisson hotel, you can't go to the Radisson Hotels website in the US. You have to go to the European one and have a completely separate entity. So I don't know how this is going to help, though. Lucky kind of says this in onemileatatime.com, kind of says it in the same questions that I have. How are they going to align it now that we have Radisson Blues and Radisson Hotels in the Americas, and then we have them internationally, but there's going to be two different programs? I have no idea how that's going to work out, but and how it's going to be aligned. No news was dropped today other than that the deal closed. So meaning that checks were written, papers were signed, it was ratified, and it was approved.
Are the Chinese out of it now?
They are.
Are the Chinese? Oh, okay. So
they're out of the America's bit of it. They're not out of the European bit of it.
Oh, they're not. Oh, okay. So
they're not.
Okay. So this is a watch this space kind of story.
It sure is. Deal closed today with absolutely no news. And I don't know how they're going to align the loyalty programs. So are you going to, if you are booking a Radisson hotel, are you going to be able to earn in both programs, even if they're two different companies? Are they going to be partners? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And one quick jab here. Emirates, the Emirates Airlines has announced that they are spending $2 billion on passenger enhancements. So after, for us here in the U.S., where we get a little alcohol napkin when we board a plane and and a little water bottle when we sit down, it's Emirates has decided to spend $2 billion on passenger enhancement. So some of this has already started already. It's their business class, their new style business class hasn't been rolled out on all of their flights. So they're going to do it on all of their planes right now. It's the one that you see in the picture here. It's kind of a little bit of a, aisle exposed product. I kind of not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. I kind of like the seat, though. It's good. But and they are also upgraded their in-flight entertainment system in coach. Look at a big screen that you have there on the back of your seat. And also they're rolling out, starting now in November, they're finally rolling out their premium economy product, which is going to be on the 380, on the 242 setup in the middle there. You can see, and it's got a nice footrest going to it. They haven't had premium economy, so they will have, they have a great first class, and they also have already started on upgrading their catering, which they're spending a lot of money on catering in first and business class, in addition to, in general on the flight. So the first class menu is currently doing an upgrade, and business and economy will see a refresh from September 1st. So it's good to see that airlines are now back in the game and spending the money on their passengers.
I was going to say, when you showed the business class picture, we should point out they also have a first class, which is very loose.
They do have a first class. And they just rolled it out back in 2018, I think it was.
Yeah, and
let's look at a picture of it. I think it's kind of interesting to see the new first, how it's a completely is separate cabin, if you will. If you can see if we can find here's an article. Let's just look at that. It's like a whole suite. This is not a good article at all to have. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the to find a picture so people can see it. They've made significant improvements to their first class product as you can see, you've got doors, you've got a big 32-inch TV. There's Ben trying it out with the caviar service, and and the door, you just close the whole door. You have your cabin to yourself there. So it's good to see.
And they're pouring Dom Perignon.
They're pouring Dom Perignon, and they also are pouring Chateau de Chem.
Oh my gosh! Well,
no kidding. For those who like dessert wine, it's a dessert wine that costs over $300 a bottle. That they have, and also they have Hennessy Paradis, which is a cognac that costs $500-600 a bottle. So it is good times. Here's a trick though: if you purchase their business class, they fly from JFK to Milan. That's the only flight that goes that you don't have to go through Dubai to get. On that particular route, it's only 30,000 miles to upgrade if you have a business class tickets to first class.
Wow.
So and those miles you can transfer instantly from various of the credit card companies. You can transfer over like you do to Flying Blue, for example.
Good
and
tip.
You can transfer right over, and you can upgrade when you check in online.
Good tip. All right.
And second and last thing is that Brightline, the train operator, are coming out with some interesting they're delayed for their route. They've already opened up, as you know, a few years ago from Miami up the coast of West Palm, and they are now in the midst of building all the way from West Palm Beach to Orlando. And the most exciting part, I think, about this is the tracks that they have going inland in Florida are actually their own track that they're laying down. So there won't be any obstruction when it comes to speed. These trains are not really high speed. Okay, it's like almost high speed rail with 125 miles an hour as the top speed. And they're also the diesel hybrid electric locomotive. So it's not. It's not like hey, let's do the whole thing, wave on that thing, but it's better than nothing. And they are seeing 147% above 2019 level of occupancy on their current route on the east coast of Florida, which shows that trains they build it and people will come for sure. But what's going to happen soon is that you can fly into Orlando and you can take the train from Orlando Airport without renting a car to Disney. There's going to be a stop at Disney in the next expansion. So I think that's going to be really cool, that you don't have to rent a car. You can just take it to the center of Disney, and there will be shuttles there to take you to the hotels. I think that's a huge deal for families. So you don't have to rent a car, pay for parking, and all those types of things.
Is there a date when they might reach Orlando with it?
The first quarter of 2023.
That's like tomorrow.
That is like tomorrow. So look at that. I think that it's good. We're seeing some great stuff. We're seeing some great stuff for trains now. I think the current Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, is doing a really good job on pushing this forward. The Biden plan are going to help. And these Brightline people, they're actually now in the midst of setting up to build from LA, where from a connection point where the California high-speed rail will be going through, to Las Vegas, where you can take a train from East LA area to Las Vegas in less than 2 hours. And that will be a true electric high-speed rail where the electricity will be made in the desert to run that train emission-free. So that's also in the books. And I think that you're going to see that train be up and running before the California high-speed rail is going to come up. So a lot of positive stuff. I mean, the tracks that they're having, as you can see, this top speed is 150 miles an hour, but the train itself that they have.
Yeah, and if they're dedicated tracks, you don't have to wait for any freight trains or anybody
Correct.
else.
And they're also, there's no, so as you can see in the West Palm, the East Coast part of it, yes, you go, they're going past, railroad crossings and things like that slows down the speed significantly. And you're going, but what we're seeing on the rail that they're doing, they are literally eliminating all of the railroad crossing, making the, like they do anywhere else where you build, in 1976 in Norway, there was a 15-year plan where you had to get rid of all railroad crossings by, I think it was 15 years from now. They had to build it because it's unsafe to have a train come by in 125 miles an hour and people not paying attention and lights malfunctioning. Well, I don't have to tell you what happens when you hit a train head on. So anyway, so at the end of the day, I think that this is cool. It's fascinating that it's happening, and I'm looking forward to the Vegas thing also. I think that's going to be a great way for us to get how many flights go from LA to Las Vegas from all the airports there? Probably 50, 60 a day.
Yeah. All right. It's the 11th of August 2022. I'm Rudy Maxa. Tommy Danielson and I bid you farewell. We'll see you for the next travel update when it's time for another travel update.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Tommy.